Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Street Talk.
Yeah.
Street Talk Live.
Street Talk Live. We're at the 2026 conference, FDSOA conference, and we have with us Rick from DripDrop. Rick, you want to tell us a little bit about what you do and kind of what your passion is as far as that goes?
For sure, yeah. So DripDrop is a hydration solution. It's an electrolyte powder. You mix it with water. It essentially creates an oral IV. I think the passion for me comes from my military background. I was a search and rescue pilot in the Navy.
Oh, wow.
So this idea of people who, help others and sort of put their own lives on the line has always been a big thing for me. And I think because of that, obviously the fire community is one that I worked with when I was on active duty in the military and certainly appreciate. And the hydration stuff that we do is really critical for firefighters. So that's kind of where my passion comes from with that.
Yeah, you can never be too hydrated, right? Like as a firefighter, like what do you recommend for your product for, somebody at a working fire? What's your recommendation?
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about it is it's a lot about sweat replacement, right? And when you look at the statistics on firefighters, sweat rates are off the chart, and that doesn't matter whether it's structural fire, wildland. It's really something, and it's both the exertion levels that firefighters just have to do while on the job, the environment that they operate in, which is obviously not helping, and they're wearing turnout gear, and that's something that protects them for sure, but it increases sweat rates pretty significantly. And so that's why we see just such an urgent need for firefighters to have a really high grade electrolyte replacement product that will keep them hydrated.
Yeah. Excellent.
I was your compadre that's here, Greg, right?
Yeah, Greg Summerlin.
So I had an opportunity to talk with him a little bit yesterday, and he was telling me that y'all, that when the hurricanes hit the eastern seaboard in the Carolinas, all the hospitals, most of the first responders, like they were completely just their stock on shelf was obliterated when it comes to IV stuff.
Yeah,
and they were able to call you guys up and place an order, I guess. To be able to utilize DripDrop to kind of help save some of those IV meds and IV bags that were so critically important to them at the time.
Yeah, 100%. So such bad flooding in North Carolina, right? And a lot of folks were involved in those efforts, but it knocked out a Baxter plant, and Baxter is one of the huge manufacturers of IV bags that go into the hospital system. So these hospital systems had to ration their IV care. And because we are an oral IV and because we're a qualified medical product in the military medical system and stuff, these hospitals were able to use oral IVs for patients who could still tolerate oral fluids and not have to give them the limited IV supplies that they might need for a patient who is in extremis and didn't have the ability
That's amazing.
to. So it really, it's one of those things, I think you realize when you do realize that the military classifies this as a medical product, you go, hey, this is not just some other electrolyte drink that's out there. It's a really seriously formulated oral rehydration solution.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Excellent.
So DripDrop and FDSOA have been tight for a long time.
Yeah.
You guys support us as a partner, and a lot. I don't know that I've ever seen a conference that DripDrop wasn't at, that I've been at, for us. So why FDSOA? Why such high levels of support for our organization?
Well, I just think, you fit into a critical piece for DripDrop, which is a piece about experts and education and bringing facts, to firefighters and sort of evidence-based decisions that help firefighters be safer, right? And that can be everything from fire scene safety to protective gear to hydration. It's 1,000 things, right? But that's what the expertise that you guys bring together with FDSOA. And so for us to be able to get exposed to those people and maybe provide them a little bit of education about, what we can do for the hydration piece, small piece, but an important piece of that.
Very important.
That's critical. And I would say secondly, just FDSOA as an organization has always been I think very welcoming, very open to, sort of all kinds of different ideas about how to do things better. Just what can we do better in fire to keep people safe and to give safety professionals the best tools possible. And so that's been just a great fit for us, and it's made us really proud to be associated with you guys.
Awesome. Well, we certainly appreciate everything you guys do for us.
Yeah, you guys have been so supportive of us. So if somebody doesn't know something about your product, if they've never seen it before, what would be the number one thing that you would want to share with somebody that has never seen your product before?
Yeah, I think the number one thing would be this idea that it really is an oral IV, and that there may be a lot of people who would say that, but when you really look at the sort of the studies, and it's so cool that we've had studies done by the Seattle Fire Department, by LA County Wildland Fire, and people we've had folks speak here at FDSOA, who've done some of those studies, which I think is awesome. And so, yeah, that's the biggest thing, is that this is it's a serious thing. And unfortunately, one of the tough things about the world of the internet is that there's a lot of information out there, and some of it's factual and some of it's not quite as much. So that's the thing, is like, do your research, consult with great people like you guys, and find out what's out there. And we're certainly not the only product by any means that's a great product, but we kind of are strong believers in the more you know and the more you educate yourself, the better decisions you'll make for your folks.
And y'all were DripDrop was founded by a licensed physician. Is that correct?
Yeah, we got a cool picture of him right here on the box. That's Dr. Eduardo Dolhun. He actually was treating kids in Guatemala in places where IV therapy wasn't an option. A lot of clinics are days and days away from some of these small villages and towns, and so he was treating kids with the World Health Organization's formula, and he said, I could make this better, make the kids want to drink it more, add some things like magnesium and zinc that would be critical to these kids' health. So that's really where we come from, is from that idea of helping people, and it's still kind of our mission is sort of to defeat life-threatening dehydration worldwide. That's the company's motto.
Wow.
And I think we try to live it, and working with you guys is a big part of the way we do that.
So the fire service is interesting in that regard, right? So let's talk a little bit about that specifically. You get guys who are working schedules where they have long periods of time on and then long periods of time off, right?
Yeah.
And so I know through my experience, you work a day and then you get off, and I mowed yards. So you go out and get in the sunshine and you mow yards, and then I might go home and enjoy an adult beverage in the evening. And then
Really? What?
That's crazy. Yeah.
And in Canada, we call it cutting grass. We don't say mow yards.
Maybe.
But I know what you mean.
Come back to the fire station, then what do I hit? The coffee pot.
Yep.
And if you're like me, it's half a pot to a pot of coffee a day. And then say 11 o'clock rolls around and they bang out a structure fire. Like, what is the impact on a firefighter's body if he's not hydrated or she's not hydrated? What does that even look like?
Yeah, well, it's we get asked the question a lot with DripDrop. Should you do it before or during or after, intense activities? And our answer is yes.
Yes.
We really are big fans of what we call a 360 protocol of doing it in all three phases of that. And so to your point, when people show up and they're behind, that just makes it harder. It means that whatever activity they go do when that structural fire kicks off, they're behind the 8 ball and they need to catch up. And I think one of the other important things about DripDrop is just how fast it works, right? Mm-hmm. Having that 20 to 30 minute efficacy means that you can have made questionable decisions.
We always make good choices. We always make good choices.
Cheers to questionable decisions.
And I think another guy who's been with us at FDSOA, Fernando Montes, who's retired out of LA County Fire. He would actually test his recruits when they came on shift for what their hydration status was, and he found that many of them were 10% dehydrated by body
right off
weight
the hop.
right off the hop, and that was because they were doing other things the day before. They stayed up late that night. Whatever it was that had caused that, had a coffee or maybe a bang on their way into their shift. Mm-hmm. A DripDrop can be a great way to reset yourself and get your body back to a good place, because otherwise, unfortunately, I guess to maybe the core of your question of how does it affect you, starting behind like that can just be really dangerous, because now you're running very close to your
and you're never going to catch up,
yeah,
right?
Correct,
you're never going to catch up.
It's really, really hard to catch up, at that point. Yeah.
So this is something you take like every day. is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I think so, and especially on days when depends on your activity level, right? I mean, if I'm sitting there watching football on the couch the whole day,
Probably not.
maybe I'm good. But if my off day involves mowing lawns or cutting grass, either one,
whichever one,
whichever one it might be, depending on your exact location, then I definitely want to have one because otherwise I am going to get behind.
Now, do y'all have? I'm assuming that y'all do some partnerships with large organizations such as like end users, right? So like individual departments and things like that.
You talked about Seattle.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we have some great long-term relationships with a number of departments. We're also very proud to associate with the National Volunteer Fire Council, and we actually donate product through them. For some of the smaller volunteer departments that maybe just don't have the budget to be able to afford a dedicated hydration solution. So super proud of that partnership for sure. And it's really rewarding when something does happen. I mean, even in the floods we were talking about in North Carolina, we were able to rapidly get some product to the North Carolina National Guardsmen who were working with local first responders and get that product out there. And we got some kind of cool pictures of folks who were very grateful to have it under those difficult circumstances. So yeah, those partnerships are really, really rewarding for us.
That's amazing.
So if somebody's watching and they're decided that they need some sort of hydration supplement for their organization, what's the best way for them to try and get in touch with a regional person, or do they need to just contact you?
Yeah, I mean, they can contact me, contact Greg for sure. It's kind of handy if you go onto our website and you click into uses, you'll see fire displayed there pretty prominently. That gives you a nice email that will come to both Greg and I, so you can't miss. And if you kick an email to that and kind of just tell us you're interested and you need some information, we can get you that information. We can get you a sample case like the one that we're showing here, so you can trial that at your organization or department and see if it is the solution that works for you. That's kind of the best way to reach out to us.
Awesome. Well, Rick, thank you so much for sitting down with us. Thank you so much for your continued support of this association. We are so glad to have you on board, and look forward to continuing to work with DripDrop in the future.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks to you guys as well.
We'll pre-hydrate one more time.
Hey, it's water. This is water. It's water.
Well, we need to put DripDrop.
Grab a flavor.
Strawberry lemonade?
Yeah, get that in there.
Orange, fruit punch, grape, lemon,
Berry.
I can't do
and
berry.
I don't have enough water to do, so you do it.
We got a watermelon in there too.
Oh, watermelon.
Yeah.
Watermelon sugar.
Any peach? Any Georgia peach?
Yeah, the watermelon's got it. I think we have a peach, but unfortunately not in the big sticks yet.
That's okay.
So you gotta, you can't.
So this is what, to 500?
Oh, that's so. I know we were trying to wrap this up, but I do have a question.
Yes.
What's the recommended mix ratio?
Yeah.
Is this with a 12 or 16 ounce water
That's
bottle, or 32?
16 ounce. So that's
16
for
ounce.
16 ounce. And
That's
you
gonna
will
be real
see,
strong.
like, if you get these on Amazon or in retail stores, they'll be smaller. They're for an 8 ounce serving.
Okay.
But for our military first responders,
Bigger water bottles.
we do it in the bigger thing just because it we just kind of say 1 to a water bottle, 2 to a canteen type thing.
Okay.
So it's on that
No,
larger
that makes sense.
format.
Makes sense.
Yeah, if I get some. Can you hold that over
Yes,
there?
I'll hold this over here.
Yeah, so this one says for 1 to a 16 ounce water bottle.
Yeah.
I like it.
Excellent.
I like it.
Well, cool.
Thanks again, Rick.
Yeah,
We
thanks
really
so much.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.